Greetings, pro wrestling fans, and thank you for joining us at the Pro Wrestling Look Back podcast. I'm Nick, and I'm sitting all alone by myself again, but not for long. I'm going to get you a little bit of an intro here, give you my thoughts on Raw, SmackDown, bit of the King of the Ring stuff, and we're going to have a little interview with Donovan and Jag, the Dawn Hour, as we like to call it. Coming up, talking about UFC. Well, I'll get into more of it later and kind of describe what's going on in the interview, but if you haven't already, check us out on Instagram and Twitter at PWLookback. On Instagram and Twitter, like I said, on both of them. Send us some DMs if you're interested in topics for roundtables. If you want to give us suggestions for topics for roundtables, we'd appreciate that. Any communication between the listeners is always greatly appreciated from us at the Pro Wrestling Look Back podcast. If you want to send us an email, you can do that, prowrestlinglookback@gmail.com. If you want to get a t-shirt, cup, mug, I think there's a cup. I keep saying that there's stuff that there isn't, so just check out the mugs and the tank tops and the t-shirts and all that over at teespring.com/prowrestlinglookback. If you want to hit up iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, that's where you can listen to the show if you're not already. Hit the 5 stars over on there, iTunes especially. We'd appreciate that. Leave us a positive review. Helps get us out there to more people, listening to more people's ears. You know, listening to more people's ears. I don't even know if that makes sense. They're listening to us with their ears. But yeah, let us know if you enjoy the older lookbacks we've been dropping. We'll probably release the rest of the SummerSlam ones that we did last year that we weren't able to get out before this year's SummerSlam. And yeah, if you want, check out me on Twitter. I'm at Salsa, SCELSA, same over on Instagram. And if you want to get in contact with Donovan as well, at JustDon44 is where you can do that. And don't forget, guys, new sponsor to the podcast, at Pure Oxide CBD. This is amazing CBD oil. I've been using it now for about 2 weeks. And I know I talked a little bit about the mental clarity and being a little more focused and that kind of stuff. And that's there, don't get me wrong. But now I'm starting to feel, I think because I've had it for a 2-week extended period, I'm kind of starting to feel more of the joints and the muscles and the just more better feeling, really. So if you guys have any problems with that kind of stuff, anxiety, muscle, joint pain, stress levels, check them out. Like I said, at Pure Oxide CBD. They have a website, pureoxidecbd.com. Actually, no, it's just pureoxide.com. They sell a 250 milligram bottle and a 2,500, if I could speak, milligram bottle and a 5,000 milligram bottle as well. Also, they sell a 3,000 milligram cream that I haven't tried myself yet, but I've been told by many, and I've seen many, many, many positive reviews on this stuff. So like I said, go check them out. THC-free, no GMOs, and pet-friendly too. So if your pets are weak or getting a little bit older and you want to be a little bit more mobile, and I don't know how much it'll affect their anxiety. I don't know much about pet anxiety, but like I said, it's pet-friendly, and the stuff is amazing. If you want to get in contact with them, like I said last time, at Pure Oxide CBD, send him a message, even if you're just interested. He's offering free trials if you can meet up with him and do that kind of stuff. But for anybody outside of the country or outside of the region, kind of where you're able to get in contact with the company, like I said, check out the website, pureoxide.com. With all that stuff out of the way, I'm going to get right into the show. We're going to do, like I said at the beginning a little bit, and I don't even know if I let anybody know, this is the Roundtable, episode 50, which is kind of a big deal-ish. I keep talking about 52 being the one that I really want to celebrate and kind of throw out the pull out the applauses and do all that kind of stuff. But we're not there yet, so I'm not going to pull them out. In the meantime, I'm going to let you know what's going on in the show before we get to the interview. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on the whole NXT TV USA, my thoughts on that. A little bit of Raw and SmackDown, some of the major stuff that I noticed from that show, and one major thing from Seth Rollins that I'm going to get into. And then just kind of the King of the Ring bracket so far. I'll give you my thoughts on that as well. But like I said, might as well start with NXT. And I don't have a ring bell for you, but I'm going to pull it out. NXT. I don't even know why I got the ring bell out. But either way, NXT is going to the USA Network on Wednesday nights. This is a big fucking deal. This is a big deal. I kind of wish I had more of the guys here to discuss this. And when we had recorded the interview that's going to drop later in the show, this wasn't announced yet, so we weren't able to talk about it on that aspect or that side of the show. But yeah, big deal. I think this is obviously them going straight at AEW, kind of, full force. We're ready. Don't you think that we're not, we don't see what you're doing over there at AEW, and WWE's kind of maybe putting one step ahead? I don't know. I got to be honest, though, they definitely have the step ahead right now going in because of you've got 3 hours of Monday Night Raw where you can advertise NXT. That's going to be on USA Network, which is where Monday Night Raw is. You've got dedicated fans that are already watching, close to, I don't know, maybe 1 million. I don't know. I'm not really sure how many people watch NXT on a regular basis. I myself am not even one of those people. I tune in for the takeovers, and I watch as much as I can, but it's just a lot of wrestling and doing the show and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Either way, I think it's an amazing decision by WWE to choose to go to full television on the USA Network, 2 hours, and kind of get out of that little chunk that they're in on the network of an hour show. Don't get me wrong. The reason that NXT has been so successful in the 4 to 5 years that it's been around, I guess almost 7 years, I don't know. If you include the whole reality show and everything in there, I'm not sure how many years. But either way, since they've kind of really opened the PC and started doing it all down there in Florida, with Seth Rollins winning the first NXT championship in kind of that era, that's a good place for a time. You can be in that hour time spot and putting out the hour shows, and just on the network, I just don't think you're ever going to get past a certain level of viewership, obviously, and then programming too, because as much as an hour is great and it's a tight-knit show and it's small and you can fit everything in there, it is limited. There's only so much you can put on that show, and you end up putting most of those top guys on the show. This is why, and not that it's a bad thing, when we get to the takeovers, it's 4 or 5 matches, and they're all fucking fantastic because it's only 4 or 5 matches. It's only the top feuds, it's usually just championship matches. So, and the odd, match thrown in there. But I don't know. Either way, I'll bust it out one more time. I might as well. I don't have a lot to say myself. I really want to dive more into this next week, hopefully with Donovan. And I don't want to speak too soon, but we might be having Younger come back on the show next week. So stay tuned for that. I'll put out some Instagram stuff to let you know and keep you updated. But in the meantime, NXT, good on you. Alrighty, so I said I would jump to Raw and SmackDown. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to jump to the King of the Ring stuff first, because I just want to give you some of my quick thoughts on what's taken place so far. We had on Monday Night Raw, we had Cesaro facing Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe came out with the win on that one. I probably could have guessed that one was going to happen, but I got to be honest, it sucks to see Cesaro go out in the first round, especially with the whole rejuvenating of his character and everything he's done kind of since parting ways with Sheamus. I would have expected more, but again, going up against a guy like Samoa Joe in the first round, you can't, it was a good match. And I think, honestly, I think the best part about this whole tournament, and shout out to Aftermath TV because they were talking about it on there too, and I had thought about it already, but I just want to, give them some dabs too, because we love that show here at the Pro Wrestling Look Back. Anyway, this tournament, everybody in this tournament, I think you can justify or you can give a reason as to why they could win. If you, even and I'm a fan of him, but even somebody like Apollo Crews, you can say, okay, well, if he wins, I can see where they're going. They're maybe choosing to do this because, they're going to totally change his gimmick. Or, somebody like Cedric Alexander, maybe he could win too because of the athleticism, and they're really trying to push him since coming from 205 Live. Same sort of thing with Buddy Murphy, especially with the matches that Buddy Murphy's been having lately with, Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan in the last 2 weeks on SmackDown. But either way, I think there's a guy in each of these matchups that you could say could win the tournament, and going into a tournament, that's what you want. Go back and look at the tournament from Wade Barrett 3-4 years ago, and I mean, aside from maybe a Dean Ambrose or something like that, you could probably run through that roster or that lineup, pick out your winner at the top being Barrett. I think that tournament was only created to give Barrett the King gimmick. I don't know for sure, obviously, but I'm just guessing, and this one to me is just really way more well done in the sense that like I said, everybody in the tournament, you could see them winning. So, going forward, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, that one hasn't happened yet. That'll be next week on Raw. That's going to be a really good match. Again, anybody can win. I would probably prefer to see Ricochet win, but I think we're going to get Drew McIntyre, Samoa Joe the following week on Raw when Drew wins that match against Ricochet, but we'll see. We had Cedric Alexander going against Sami Zayn. Cedric got the win here. Kind of odd again with Sami Zayn. You're not really sure why he's losing so often, but I'll talk about it in a little bit. Well, what we've seen him do on SmackDown, it kind of makes sense. He does have some sort of a road that he is heading on now. Miz and Baron Corbin. I don't really know what to say about this one. I can hope and pray that Miz is going to get the win, but I feel like he's going to get screwed over in some way by Baron Corbin. And Baron, I don't know if Baron's going to win, but I definitely think he's going to go far in this tournament. And if he loses in that first round, hey, I'm not going to be upset about it. I just will be wrong about my prediction. Moving over to SmackDown, the SmackDown side of the tournament, Kevin Owens versus Elias. This one already took place on SmackDown, and I hate to say I called it, but I called it. I mean, not that it was hard to call, but yeah, I could have told you Shane was going to jump in there and, pull some kind of chicanery to screw over Kevin Owens in this match, and that's exactly what we had. We had Shane McMahon kind of backstage and the whole Kevin, apologizing and wanting the fine reduced and then the fine being taken away, but, told if you put your hands on another referee, then you'll be fired. And obviously, if you guys saw this, Shane pulls off his shirt and he's a referee, and then he screws Kevin over in the quick 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You know how it is. And that was it. So obviously the Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon stuff is going to continue on in the future and go forward. And Elias, I don't see him going much farther in the tournament. We can move on to the next match, maybe talk about who he might be facing. Ali and Buddy Murphy, and I'm going to keep saying Mustafa Ali until somebody tells me not to, because I like the name Mustafa Ali. But anyway, I don't have a lot to say on this one. It could be either guy, almost like any other match. But with the progression that Buddy Murphy's had in the last 2 weeks, losing to Roman in a fantastic match, and then beating Daniel Bryan on SmackDown, I almost got to go with Buddy Murphy in this one. As much as, again, I like Mustafa Ali, I'm going to say the full name every time. I just think this is, it's not that it's not Mustafa's time. I just think his time was a little bit, his breaking into the main roster happened already, and now it's Buddy's turn, if not Cedric's turn, to kind of break in and really make a name for themselves on the main roster in some kind of capacity that isn't just mid-card, backstage segment running around chasing Elias or R-Truth for the United or the 24/7 title. Moving forward, Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin. This is going to be potentially the wrestling match of the opener, of the opening card, maybe even the whole tournament. Who knows? It really depends on how much time Shelton and Chad are given. I'd like to see them have a really traditional wrestling match. That would be, super cool and ideal with their styles. I don't know if we're going to get that. And then the little segment we did get on this week on SmackDown with Shelton kind of behind Chad while he's getting interviewed. And I like the haircut on Chad. It makes sense. It fits with the little change in his gimmick and separating him away from the tag team stuff. And then, Shelton put the sign on the door and, you must be this tall to be in the King of the Ring. And obviously Chad wasn't tall enough. I don't know. We'll see if they have any more interaction before their match next week on SmackDown, but I'm going to go with Chad Gable. That's two reasons. One, I love Chad Gable and I want to see this guy get a push. He's the guy I talked about, which I never do, who could go to AEW and be a star and be there and have people in WWE looking at themselves going, what were we doing with Chad Gable? Don't get me wrong, we're not there yet. He's still in WWE and he maybe still get a push in WWE, so I don't know. I just think he's a really talented guy, and not that Shelton doesn't deserve to move forward in the tournament, but as far as where their careers are projected and the roads are going, you almost got to go with Chad Gable in this one. And then the final match that's already happened already, Apollo Crews and Andrade. Andrade got the win here. I guess to be expected, I was cheering for Apollo pretty hard just because I want to see this guy get a push. And I know I'm talking about pushes and shit too much, but I just want to see him be recognized for how talented he is, or at least in the worst case, at least be in some kind of storyline where he's, showing up on TV every other week and for a reason. He's in a conflict with another wrestler, or he's, somebody stole his girlfriend or something. You know what I mean? Get him on TV because the guy's fantastic. And not that this relates to the King of the Ring, but I sat down and threw in, I have a DVD of I think it's the Best of Raw and SmackDown 2016, and I threw that in just the other night, whatever, kind of going to bed. And Apollo Crews is making his debut, and holy shit, were they ever talking up Apollo Crews on that episode of Monday Night Raw, because, who knows what this guy's going to do in the future, and this and that, and, well, what did you do? It's on you guys, because I don't want to be the nitpicker talking negative Nancy here, but he hasn't done much since he's been in WWE and been involved in any storylines. I Has he had a championship? Maybe. Did he have the Intercontinental? I don't even know. I feel like if he did, I probably should remember. So if he did, then and I don't remember, then it wasn't very significant. But again, I don't even know if he did. Overall, like I said, the King of the Ring this year, fucking awesome. There's a reason to root for anybody in the tournament. And on top of all of that, it's adding significance to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Every match, well, maybe not every match, but every King of the Ring match, and lately every match, means something. If you win this, you move on. You go forward and you fight, the other guy that won, and it means something. And if you lose, then again, that means something. It means, oh shit, I gotta, look myself in the mirror and figure out why I couldn't get past round 1 of the King of the Ring. And I get that it's all a work, but I mean, you have to look at it with this mentality. You have to treat it like it's, a show or a sport, or when you're watching it, it's real. The things that are happening there in that universe, in that world, are real. So, yeah, we'll talk more about it with Donovan and hopefully Younger next week on the Roundtable 51. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on the King of the Ring. The other big one this week, Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman win the tag team titles. Big deal. And I'm not sure if, I don't know if anybody went out of their way to try and find this research, but as soon as I've seen Seth win that title on Monday, it took me, half an hour for it to sink in or whatever, but I'm sitting there thinking, how many times has this guy won the championship, the tag team championship? Because I feel like Seth Rollins is slowly becoming somewhat of a legend in the tag team division in the sense that he can win championships with almost anybody, and he now is tied in the all-time record for most Raw Tag Team Championship wins with Cesaro, of all people. But yeah, this is Seth Rollins' 5th Tag Team Championship win, and that's 5, including the penny belt that he won with the Shield, which I'll get to in a second. But even if you don't include that one, that's 4 Tag Team Championship runs since August 20th, 2017, which was him winning the Raw Tag Team titles at SummerSlam with Dean Ambrose. And the red titles is the ones I'm talking about. But yeah, I just thought it was crazy. Let me know. And if anybody's listening to this and you didn't know this, send me a DM if you thought this was an interesting fact, because Seth Rollins has won the championship 5 times with 4 different wrestlers, which to me is crazy. Maybe it's not. Maybe this happened all the time in the Attitude Era with Stone Cold and other guys that I just didn't know or I didn't pick up on. But I don't know. I definitely wanted to bring this up on this show because, like I said, it's a significant stat. So I'll go through the 5 title wins that he did have. The first one, like I said, I don't know if you want to include this one in the same, Raw tag team title win, but this was the penny belts, the bronze ones with the black leather. He won that with the Shield. Him and Roman Reigns on May 19, 2013 at Extreme Rules. Normal, like I said, penny belts. Didn't have them for a while. They jumped around. I think they went to New Day for a long time. Anyway, we work our way, like I said, to August 20th, 2017, where Seth and Dean win the tag team titles again. Or not again, I guess again for Seth. First time for Dean. He was U.S. champion last time when Shield won at SummerSlam. Then we move forward to December 25th, 2017. So not that far away. 4 months away from when he won it with Dean. Seth wins them with Jason Jordan on Monday Night Raw. I think this was because Dean went out with the elbow injury before WrestleMania. Or not before WrestleMania, but post winning the titles with him the first time. And then we go to October 22nd, 2018. So roughly almost a year later, Dean Ambrose is back from his injury. And Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose win the titles again, like I said, October 2nd, 2018 on Monday Night Raw. And this is one that I'm sure everybody remembers because this is the Dean Ambrose heel turn. This is the winning the titles at the end of the show, and then we get Dean with the dirty deeds, and Seth is left with both belts to defend. And then we had this week on Monday Night Raw, Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins, August 19th, 2019. Win number 5 for Seth Rollins as far as it goes in the tag team division. So, watch out, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy and the Hardy Boys and the Edge and Christians of the world and the Gallows and Anderson. Hey, they beat you guys. And the New Days and the established tag teams. Watch out, because it looks like the Universal Champion Seth Rollins just needs to grab himself a partner, and then he can win the tag team championships. If that can't already be said for Braun Strowman, who won them with a 10-year-old at WrestleMania 2 years ago, and then now winning them with Seth relatively easily. yeah, I don't know. I thought that was just worth bringing up, at least discussing kind of, the significance of winning 5 tag team championships, and then on top of that, winning 5 tag team championships with 4 different teammates. Pretty awesome. And then I just wanted to shout out the end of the match, wicked spot. I loved how Braun hit the power slam and then AJ went in for the save, because I think most of us watching the show probably thought AJ was going to interfere and we were going to get some kind of chicanery, and Seth and Braun would end up, butting heads at the end of this match and go into their feud that probably will happen here at Clash of Champions. But I just, I like the curb stomp and how Seth and AJ rolled into the ring to interfere the pin, and then Seth, without a doubt, jumps on, curb stomp, AJ rolls out of the ring, and then they get the pin 1, 2, 3. I just thought that worked awesome. And yeah, why not? Why not? And I got to be honest with you guys, I did this once before. I'm stealing Taz's gimmick, but it's water break time. All right, yeah, sorry. I got to steal his gimmick, but like I said, I don't do many of these single-man shows, so I got to make sure I'm hydrated. You know how it is. But yeah, the rest of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, because I just wanted to touch on the multiple Seth Rollins wins, and then the fact that him and Braun won the titles. Obviously, worth talking about. It's a big deal. So the only other major things, and this won't be long, the Dolph Ziggler storyline to me is starting to make sense. When they first announced this match at SummerSlam, my only thoughts were, what does this do for Dolph and what does this do for Goldberg? I guess this, shines up Goldberg cleans him off after the stench that he left in Saudi Arabia with Undertaker. Okay, check that box. But what does it do for Dolph Ziggler? Well, he's making it something. He's making himself a presence on TV. He's having outstanding matches with some good top guys like Roman Reigns this week on Monday Night Raw. I just don't think it's completely useless anymore. I think that him, his whole, I don't even really know how to describe it, but just him talking back to the people post-matches and shit, it kind of, it adds something to his character that wasn't always there. Some meaning, some caring. And then, honestly, I laugh about it if you want, but that's what I do. I find it fucking hilarious. When he was calling back to Goldberg and I was in the building, I thought that was maybe one of the funnier moments of the night. Excuse me. But yeah, we'll see, obviously, what happens with Dolph Ziggler going forward and that storyline, but I'm just happy that he didn't just lose to Goldberg and then go back down to doing nothing. At least they're playing off of the loss, and it's a continual thing where, it's being thought about and, written into storylines and put on TV in matches with top guys like Roman Reigns in the opener of Monday Night Raw. So, good on you, Dolph Ziggler. Boss time, ladies and gentlemen. Sasha Banks interview? Well, we were supposed to get a Sasha Banks interview this week, and we did not. We got Jerry the King Lawler out in the middle of the ring. We were there for King's Court, which I thought was odd because we weren't in Memphis, and it's, a little different to do a King's Court. But I guess, we already got a Miz TV segment this week. We already got a Talking Bliss or Talking Bliss? What's it called? I don't know. I can't remember at the moment. But either way, the Talking Bliss. Talking with Bliss? That's going to bug me. Either way, this is probably why we had Jerry Lawler on the show in the King's Court. We're not going to get Y2J back for the highlight reel, and we're not getting Carlito in for the Caribbean show, and we're not getting a Peep show. So we got to find somebody who can fly into Minneapolis, Minnesota. I think it was in Minneapolis, maybe not. Maybe the Twin Cities. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the Minnesota geology or geography. But yeah, so the reason it didn't happen, Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, attacks Jerry Lawler. And I like this because Jerry Lawler's kind of seen the lights flickering, and me and everybody that was sitting, shout out to Moo and Newell again, watching Raw and Hog. We all kind of knew what the fuck was going on. We're like, okay, Bray Wyatt's going to come out, or the Fiend is going to come out. And not to play that off like we weren't excited. It was a big deal, and we were excited. But I didn't know if it was going to be a full-on attack like Mick Foley and some of the other ones, or if it was just going to be a bit of a scare. Not that I really thought it was going to be a scare, but you never know. I like that Jerry kind of left the ring, went up to the top of the ramp, and then obviously did the stupid thing and turned around and looked back at the audience, and then the Fiend was there, attacked him with the mandible claw, so we didn't get our Sasha segment. That was postponed to later when she had an interview with Michael Cole, and she brought up the fact that everyone was talking about her hair, and Michael Cole's like, what are you talking about? That's not why we're not here to talk about your hair. No one, to be all due respect, no one cares about your hair right now. And then we had a segment later in the night from Natalya where she was cutting a promo backstage that was, in my opinion, too manufactured. And Natalya's fantastic. I watched Natalya wrestle in 2004, 5, 6 in this area. Maybe not 4, maybe like 5, 6, 7. I don't know, 5, 6 in our local area in indie promotion. So she's somebody that I've followed for a long time. It's just I think she needs to, I don't know who it would be, but sit down with somebody and maybe figure out a better way. It's not that she's bad at cutting promos. She just does it in a way that you can really tell that she's reading something, and it needs to feel more like she's thinking about it as she's saying it rather than remembering what to say. Treat it more like, and I'm sure it was scripted, but like the Becky Lynch promo that we got on Raw, where she was straight up in your face, looking at the camera, telling you exactly what she's going to do to Sasha and why, and, talking about how Sasha isn't, she made Sasha who she is and all this kind of stuff. I just think Natalya maybe needs to focus more on some of her promo work, because obviously her in-ring work does not lack anywhere. So the only other big thing worth talking about, like I said, just because I wanted to bring it up because I mentioned it earlier, but Shinsuke's back. If anybody forgot, my boy Shinsuke, I'm looking at the pop vinyl over there in the studio. And in case anybody didn't remember, he is the Intercontinental Champion. I know for some reason he was not on SmackDown, or he was not on SummerSlam. He was not on the SmackDown post show, and he's kind of been off TV for a little while. If they were giving him time off, sure, but I can't imagine that this guy didn't want to be at SummerSlam with the Intercontinental Championship. Nor did he probably ever think that he would be holding the Intercontinental Championship, because think about the significance of the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. I don't think he ever thought he'd be holding that championship in WWE and not be on the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, because that means something. They need to, that shouldn't be happening. Not at all should that be happening. So I'm happy that he's back, and I'm happy that they've stuck him with a mouthpiece in Sami Zayn, because I like the little Easter egg that he threw in there. We have a bond that no one can understand. Well, that's because you guys had, maybe the matches of your careers, maybe not Sami Zayn with, his stuff that he's done with Kevin Owens, but the matches that you have of your careers in Shinsuke's debut match in NXT 3 years ago now. So I like the connection there between the two of them, and Sami talking for somebody is fucking perfect, because Sami's amazing at talking. I hope that he still gets to wrestle. Hope this isn't kind of him taking a step back from the wrestling role and being more of a manager. Who knows? Not that it's the end of the world if it is. I just mean he's got plenty of wrestling left in him. So either way, I like the poetry and the artist stuff that they're talking about. And then with the beatdown on Miz on SmackDown, I don't know if that leads to Miz getting a title shot at Clash of Champions, but we'll obviously find out next week, and I'll talk more about it with the guys next week on the show. But the other thing, not major, very small, the Roman story, another cliffhanger. We got the bald guy with a fake beard that looked like Rowan, and Buddy Murphy saying he thought it was Rowan, and Daniel Bryan freaking out. What do you mean you thought? You thought? I don't want to say that I don't like this storyline, because that's not it. I definitely like it, and I like that it's hooking me, but I think what I like about it is the fact that it's hooking me in the sense that we're getting consistent cliffhangers. This is a story I can't remember, and I've been watching pretty hardcore again for about 4 or 5 years now, so I can't remember a storyline like this that's been not only dragged out for so many weeks, but gone through a major pay-per-view. So they've started this feud before a major pay-per-view like SummerSlam, and it's continued and will continue well past SummerSlam. And 2, just this in-depth of something with cliffhangers ending your show. And I know we talk a lot about Roman not being, the main event, and it's great and all this and that, but don't get me wrong, he's getting the big spot, because all these segments that we're seeing with Roman and Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, shout out to all of them in all of these segments, and Daniel Bryan did a fantastic job this week on SmackDown. But what we're seeing is them just, doing a better job together. And I kind of lost my train of thought as far as what I was going to go with that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good storyline. I feel horrible that I lost my train of thought there, but I like that it's hooking me because of the cliffhangers. And I think that's the crux and the main point of what I'm trying to get across here. And my point that I kind of forgot was it's hooking me with the cliffhangers and the fact that Roman and Daniel Bryan and these guys are being trusted to be put in the final segments of shows live on TV, I think, with a minute and a half left in the show. And I don't know how much overrun they have. I know they have none on Raw anymore, and they never had any on SmackDown. So, you're just putting a lot of trust in some of these guys to carry these shows or these segments at the end of the show and go forward with it. But either way, it'll be cool to see what they end up doing with Roman Reigns and who the culprit really is. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts, I guess, from this week's Raw, SmackDown, King of the Ring, and kind of anything else. I'll do the F1 update at the end of the show, kind of post-interview if you want to listen to the F1 update. I'm just going to kind of give you my rundown of the teams and drivers so far who have had kind of the worst and best seasons so far. We're kind of in the summer break. There's been very minimal news, and this isn't even a Formula One podcast, so I'm not going to pull things out to talk about stuff that's, too deep in the weeds that any pro wrestling fan don't want to hear. So that'll be at the end of the show, but coming up now is going to be the interview with myself, Donovan, and Jag. I kind of stepped back a little bit in this one, and it was kind of the dawn hour, which we played it off at the beginning, and actually we did something a little bit different on this show that I hope you guys like, because Donovan puts out some pretty fucking awesome music. So we figured out a way that why don't we just put two of his most recent songs kind of to bookend this interview. So when you're done listening to me here now, and I'm going to let you know kind of what's coming up on the interview, but when you're done listening to me here now, you're going to listen to one of Donovan's songs that he dropped a few months back, and then it'll be the interview, and then it'll be another song that is relatively new, just came out about a week ago. So they're both music by JustDon, and JustDon, the official name. And yeah, we just thought, like I said, he makes fucking great stuff, so why not mix it into the show, and you guys can have a listen in the middle of the podcast, and if you like it, then go hit him up on Spotify and subscribe and wait for him to drop some more new stuff. But we figured with, episode 50, it's kind of a bigger deal, 50 episodes, and change it up, throw some music in there for you guys, and hope you enjoy that. But yeah, the conversation, the interview turned out really good. The guys, Donovan and Jag, kind of went in depth about the top 3 matches on the UFC card this past weekend, 241, and kind of gave their thoughts. I mean, I provided as much as I can as a real outsider. I don't even want to call myself a casual fan of the UFC, because I'm more of just an outsider fan. I'll jump in every once in a while, or I'll go watch the highlights. But either way, it was a really fun conversation, and let us know if you guys enjoy the UFC talk, because that's something we can obviously do more of. I want to do more of these dawn hour segments where we can just drop them into the round table. And yeah, we can obviously do more UFC coverage in the future if that's something you guys are interested in. And then shout out to Jag. This was Jag's first roundtable. He was on the first ever Pro Wrestling Look Back podcast when we look back at Survivor Series 2002 with the first Elimination Chamber. And then he was also on the SummerSlam Look Back 1998, which we talked about in the intro. You'll hear it here in the interview. But and that one was released on iTunes not long ago. So he's been with us before. He's just never jumped on a roundtable because of timing and stuff, and that's why we recorded this ahead of time, and I'm going to drop it in there for you now. But I hope you enjoyed me talking about a little bit Raw and SmackDown, King of the Ring, and kind of some thoughts from that. Stay tuned for the F1 update after the interview, but with all that, enjoy the interview, guys.
Listen, buddy, if I wanted to, I'd kick in the back door of your house, bust your Doberman in the mouth, plop down on your kitchen table, have your old lady cook me up a T-bone medium rare, and she would like it, and you couldn't do one thing about it.
I am so ravishing. I am so ravishing. She might be cool, that's fine with me, yes, I got me a better thing. Flex on your bitch like I'm ravishing rig. Take my robe off, now she feeling my shit. Said I flex on your bitch like I'm ravishing rig. Like Rick, I'm so rude, yes, I've been that dude. Don't care about your feelings, I'm breaking the rules. Don't care about your rappers, your life do not matter to me. You say you grabbing the key. I seen your bitch, she just hopped in my beat. Sloppy toppy, do I need it? Probably heard you popping pills in the fucking lobby. Think you got it back, but you some fucking actors. Killing beats, put it in a black hearse. This that intercontinental flow. You can't catch my tempo. No, I am so blessed like a temple. Yes, money is all on my mental. Yes, working so hard I can't get no rest. Soul in the mouth like a dentist. I am so royal, you don't wanna rumble. Come from the bottom, I'm gonna stay humble. You fucking it up, we call it a fumble. Nowadays you ain't popping unless you gon' mumble. Fuck all that, let's get back to rap. Real nigga, I ain't got a trap. I know these niggas won't hold me back, but I am so ravishing. I am so ravishing. She might be cool, that's fine with me. Yes, I got me a better ting. Flex on your bitch like I'm ravishing rig. Take my robe off, now she feeling my shit. Said I flex on your bitch like I'm ravishing rig. Fuck your agenda, this is my ring, you don't wanna enter. I'm killing the pussy, I might sip a Fanta. Heard that I'm popping right now in Atlanta. Not just a local boy anymore, more than my foot in the door. Might drop an album with a tour. Said fuck rap, I'm getting bored. Most of y'all cap, I never did that. At least not on my track. You talking that, then I'm breaking your back. Rude awakening, you just faking it. Flows, I'm changing them, belong in stadiums. Give me the belt, give me the title. Bend your bitch over, dick like the Eiffel. Get on your knees, you might get an Eiffel, killing my rival. I am so ravishing. I am so ravishing. She might be cool, that's fine with me. Yes, I got me a better ting. Flex on your bitch like I'm ravishing rig. Take my robe off, now she feeling my shit. Said I flex on your bitch like I'm ravishing rig.
And welcome to the Dawn Hour.
Changing it up on the roundtable, a little bit different.
Yeah.
Throw some music in there, a little bit different. Episode 50, I think, so
Yeah.
gotta make a big deal.
We got a guest in the house, too.
Yeah,
I actually think this might be my first roundtable right now.
there you go. Bring that puppy a little bit closer there.
Yeah,
That is true, eh? We've never had Jag on a roundtable.
this is the first time. You've had me on lookbacks.
Which lookbacks has Jag been on?
So Jag was on the first ever look back that we did, which was Survivor Series. The year is escaping me right now, but it was the first Elimination Chamber.
Survivor Series 2002, I think, was that one, right?
Probably Jag's favorite era.
Yes.
Yeah, the Jag era, as we call it.
That's the Jag pocket.
That's from 2002 all the way up probably to late 2004.
That was the 5-man.
Yep,
Right.
the original 5-man podcast at that particular point.
And then we also had Jag on SummerSlam 1998.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which we re-released on iTunes recently.
Yeah,
So that's pretty cool.
so go check that out if you haven't heard it already.
Yeah, and today we're going to be having kind of a little, I don't know, interview conversation. I want to get your guys' thoughts and everything from UFC, because we don't get a lot of UFC talk on the roundtable, and whenever there's a big show, we try and...
Squeeze it in.
Exactly, and I don't know, we wanted to get Jag in here. We can't usually get him in because of the days that we record the roundtable, or they don't work, so we're doing something a little bit different and going to drop this in the roundtable. Well, if you're listening to the roundtable, you know that by now, but yeah, I don't know, you guys... I don't know, you want to start there? I got a few wrestling stuff we'll get into kind of after, but I think we should start with the UFC and then kind of make that the main crux of this little interview, I guess. I don't know if it's an interview. Jag's been on the show a bunch of times, so it's not really an interview. But either way, happy to have you back, Jag.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, where do we start? How did you
UFC 241.
how did you feel about it overall?
It lived up to the hype, in my opinion. The
Especially
Three-
those
the
top
three-
three, right?
top 3 matches were good. Overall, the card was good, but the best part about it was Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa. That was a good fight.
Yeah, so that's I guess
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
start-
talk about
yeah,
the top
we'll-
3, right?
Yeah, let's just start off with that part.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys just kind of fill me in. I saw the highlights of the main one, the Stiope. Like my boy Joey there. No, Stiopic. What's his fucking name? Stiope?
Stipe.
Stipe Miocic.
Stipe Miocic. I saw the highlights of that fight with Daniel Cormier. I was pretty sad to see the results, but you guys can
Oh yeah.
fill me in on the rest of everything that happened and kind of, I don't know, let our listeners know kind of some UFC look back stuff. I don't know, like we always talk about the roundtables, a bit of everything lately. So
So the first fight we're gonna talk about was there was 5 fights on the main card, and this
Yes.
was third down from the main.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this was a middleweight fight between Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa. Paulo is 12-0. Well, he was 12-0.
Yeah, now he's just gonna ruin it right there. Spoiler right there. 13-0 now. But
yeah, Nick, this was kind of like a title. I don't want to say like contender, but eliminator fight. You know what I mean, for the middleweight title, the 180 division.
Yeah, the 185 division, basically.
So
Yeah.
who are some of the big names to kind of give me some in that era or that division?
You know, Israel Adesanya, the style bender, skinnier black dude, the crazy knockouts.
Kind of looks like a smaller version of John Jones, which would be pretty insulting.
I'm not sure. You got to give me some older names, man.
The strike breakdown.
Okay. You want to go? You want to go on the way back? Okay. So there's obviously Anderson, the Spider Silva.
Okay.
Yeah, this is his division.
That's his division basically.
Okay, cool.
So you got like Vitor, you got Chael Sonnen. There's many guys in that division, and some of these guys were originally 205ers that dropped down.
Oh,
to
205.
Yeah,
making the
lightweight.
jump maybe over to the purple brand.
No.
No, any of them? Is it possible? Could we see them under the power of Drake Maverick?
Well,
No.
dude, look at. So
Sorry.
I want to show Nick these guys here. Look at This is Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa. Like, these two guys are fucking huge.
The
Like,
battle
they
of the
look-
bodies.
Oh wow, yeah, for being so.
for 185.
For
right?
185, there's a lot of meat and there's a lot of muscle. Basically, I could say on those two.
So was this was third from the top?
Yeah.
As far as I guess we're going to talk about the top 3 fights. So how did this go down? You said that
So
it was the upset, or no, it wasn't the upset. It was.
I don't really want to call it an upset, but I just feel like at the end of the day, when it went to the judges, because it went to a decision,
Yeah.
this fight, it was. I want to say first round. I think Paulo probably took it.
Yes, I would agree. But
I feel like second and third, you could have maybe made some arguments that Yoel might have won the fight.
yeah, with more strikes. They didn't score a takedown, I believe, in that fight,
Which he got in the.
which he got in the third.
Yeah.
But everybody was on edge because both of these beasts, they know how to one-punch knockouts.
Yeah,
Yoel is known for that, or one knee knockout.
Yeah, Yoel's famously known for some of his huge KOs he's had over.
And he's explosive, but we didn't see much of that explosion.
And he's a Olympic silver medalist in wrestling, so he has that background. But we didn't really see him do a lot of the takedowns throughout this fight. It was all just bang, bang, bang.
I basically think it was 2 takedowns and only one day actually.
Sounds like one for the casual fans then, because I know a lot of people who aren't, or maybe are on the fringes of UFC, the rolling around and the stuff that it's hard to understand if you're not a big fan.
Yeah.
Is you know what I mean? Like I was talking to my uncle on the weekend, and he kind of made a comment like, yeah, no, I because he was talking about wrestling with me.
Yep.
And he's like, I just can't get into it because it's not real. I'm like, fair enough. Whatever it is what it is. I don't really watch it that way. But anyway, why don't you watch UFC? Like, why don't you check out UFC? Because he's like, if it was real, I'd be into it. So I was like, you should check out UFC. But then he made a comment about how he's not into the whole grappling on the ground and there's too much rolling around and it's just not what he's into. And I was like, yeah, you kind of have to watch it in the sense that they're doing things that you don't even understand why they're putting their hand and their foot in that place and moving. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, this one was definitely probably someone I feel like we could have got a casual
Yeah.
fan to watch.
Because even me, like, I understand the grapples and stuff like that, but I still prefer, like, we'll talk about it obviously when you guys get to the main event, but the punches and that kind of
the
constant
punches, the
striking
kicks. Yeah.
is what's more entertaining most of the time.
Yeah, but like that, like you said, right? But for all the casual fans, they all love to see that. They all love to see the knockouts, but it's hard as hell when you're trying, like, when it comes to like any division, to take down someone and keep them down.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what the UFC's become now too. It's not really like guys who just have a single style. Everybody's good at fucking everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you can't work the upper, the fighting, the stand up, the ground game. I'm sorry, I don't know all the terminology, but like if you don't have a well-rounded style, then you're not going to do well.
Well,
yeah, it's not so much like back in the day where you have, you know what I mean, a guy who's he's a boxer
or a
versus
sumo wrestler, or one guy that's taekwondo, or like that was the old aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when someone just said, okay, well, I do all of these, and let me try all of these in one shot, and everybody nowadays learns jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, or
mixed
karate,
martial arts is born,
boxing, right? And that's where you get from it, right? But generally, like, back to like
This fight here,
this fight,
you guys for sure.
I would have to say, like, in my opinion, I feel Yoel got robbed.
American Badass.
Yeah, sorry. We haven't had a motorcycle in the background on the show, and fuck, I feel like it's been 6 months to a year. But shout out to that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
No, but were you saying Yoel? You think?
I feel that he was robbed.
You think he was robbed?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I don't know if I would. I might have to go back and watch it like in a non-live sense to really take it in, because I was in the heat of the moment too, which we all are. Like,
Oh, yeah.
whether it could be wrestling or MMA for me, like in the heat of the moment, I find it's I look at it a little differently than if I go back and watch something.
Well, I would say how like the round 2 was basically with him, but like he got like more control. He got more, like he started to do a lot more punches, a lot of different things. Also in round 3, the same thing, but Paulo Costa still defended a lot of that.
And to me, it was just the only thing where I say it was kind of a shame is that all 3 of the judges scored it. What was it? 20. Like they all just gave it to Paulo
I believe
Costa.
it was 29, 28, all the way through.
Yeah, which I didn't really agree with, but that's what happens, I guess, when it goes to the judges sometimes, you know?
Yeah, that's why, like, well, if you're a casual fan, you would love when it's a knockout or a submission, because you don't need to go through that bullshit of getting screwed over by the judges.
I want to ask you a question, though, too.
Yeah.
Me?
Both of you, I guess,
Okay.
here. Because, I mean, I'm not saying that this is why it happened, and I'm not saying he was, like, robbed, like it was clear as day that Yoel won. It was a toss-up for sure. But do you think that sometimes the judges and the way the bigger picture is of the system, like, do you think maybe they look at it and go, hey, well, Yoel Romero is 43, okay? Paulo Costa is 28.
Yeah.
Young, good-looking dude, undefeated. We can market this young guy. So, hey, let's just fucking slide him. You know what I mean? Let's give it, even though you could have maybe said it was, you know, could have went either way.
Well,
but
I get what you're saying there. That's it sounds like it's like the future of the division, basically. You're saying, like, it's because how long do you think Yoel could go? He's 42. I think the oldest person was 46, which was Dan Hendo.
Dan Henderson?
Yeah, Dan Henderson. He went to about 46 till he finally retired. And I don't know, like,
do you think that played a factor at all? Like,
In the decision?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it would.
Like them choosing...
I don't think there's that push.
I would hope not.
right?
I mean...
Because these are not judges that are employed by the UFC.
Yeah.
They're the athletic commission judges. So,
But they've done some fuck shit before.
So
Oh, yeah.
remind me, which one of them got the win here in the end?
Paulo Costa.
Which is the younger one?
Yes.
So you're thinking maybe, even though this was a fair fight, we might have to give it to since his record means more.
Yeah, and
Now.
and we have more of a future with him.
Like
Than we do with Yoel.
We as the UFC.
We as the UFC. Yes.
Yeah.
And not only that, I'm thinking more of like this guy's record matters, way more than this guy's. Like we can market his record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he undefeated? Okay, yeah. So he's still completely. Then,
So, yeah, pretty much.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? A little
Yeah.
fishy.
But yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, good for Paulo Costa.
So now,
Taking your first step into a larger world.
I'm learning
Yeah.
today, boys. I'm learning. So
honestly, I wish you could have watched. I know you had some stuff to take care of, but maybe next one we'll get together and all watch it.
yeah,
Great.
I was waiting for the stories from BP.
But I
buddy.
say-
we played the
But I say,
we played the clips from BP last time
that
on
one
the
was
show.
better. That was good. That was a good show. But the next one, I don't know. I might not be wanting to talk about that one where it's in
Khabib.
Saudi Arabia.
Hey, well,
Khabib.
we've watched a few wrestling shows there in the last 3 years, so it's definitely right up our alley as far as combat sports from the home nation of Saudi Arabia.
I guess so. Yes. Yay.
Oh man,
Say that with such enthusiasm.
Oh yay.
this guy though
Nothing
now
against them.
I would say
No.
he probably gets a title shot. Paulo Costa, like going forward, I think he gets. You remember? Okay, well, remember we started watching Ultimate Fighter with Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum.
Yep.
Right? So Robert Whittaker is still the middleweight champion. He's got a fight coming up in October defending that title against Israel Adesanya.
Okay.
And I feel like the winner of that will probably fight Paulo Costa now because he's 13-0. He's talking shit after. He's saying he wants the winner of that fight. He actually said something really I thought was outlandish. Like he was before the fight, he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to go to Australia when they fight. I'm going to be there." And like he's basically saying he'll be ready if someone pulls out or is injured, and he's saying I could beat them both in the same night. Like, I don't like this kid. He's got a little bit of a
Little-
chip,
Yeah.
but
A little bit of cockiness, but
Sometimes that's good though. Sometimes.
yeah, but then for
Not always
some,
my fave.
some people it backfires heavily. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It backfires because like it's one thing to be cocky and back it up, and then there's one thing to be cocky and just get your ass knocked out. But what I would say is basically
There we go. I got your mic figured out a little more there,
Okay.
Jag.
So basically, what I would say is that the one good thing, like which I found really interesting, Robert Whittaker.
yeah.
He's not a wrestler. All the divisions most of them are wrestlers
Yeah,
that
Joe-
have won it.
Joe Rogan brought that up, right? On the
There's 3 divisions that Max Holloway in featherweight is not a wrestler.
And
John
Robert-
Jones is not a
Well,
wrestler.
no, even him, he counts. He was counting him. I think he
Really?
said just Whitaker and Holloway,
Oh wow, so yeah.
because even Jones wrestled in high school and stuff like
Okay, so yeah. So, but yeah, like in my opinion, that's going to be an interesting matchup, regardless of it, because Paulo, if he gets the next title shot, for sure, it's going to be a powerhouse. Basically a freight train coming at you.
Yeah.
But
that. On to the next fight we had.
Yeah.
definitely.
Sorry, I don't really have the proper sound effects for the UFC. I wish I did.
Oh, we good.
How about this? Next.
Perfect.
So this one was huge. This is a big fight. This was Anthony Pettis versus Nate Diaz
Betty,
at 170.
yeah, at
First-
170.
First fight since 2016. I gotta get.
Yeah.
That's the only stat that I know, so I had to get it in.
It's a pretty important one though,
Okay.
Well,
because the last time Nate Diaz fought was against Conor McGregor.
Well, you told me it.
Yeah.
in August of 2016, August 20th to be exact, of 2016.
Shit.
But here's the interesting part. They both, before fighting each other before this last night, basically they were both 155ers.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up!
No way.
Yeah. So the craziest part, Anthony's been champion
At 155.
at 155. Nate Diaz has never touched a belt.
Yeah.
They've never fought each other. This is their first time in many, many years of fighting. They actually got together, and basically it was a very good fight. Very, very, very,
Yeah.
very good fight.
Break it down. Did it go? Was it 5 rounds?
So you know what I said that.
I
going
wish it
into-
was 5
I
rounds.
wish, because it was 3 rounds.
Oh, because it
and-
wasn't the main event.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't for a title.
Yeah.
But didn't they switch that? Well, at one point, like you could have like more than one 5-round fight on a show, whereas now
Yeah.
you
If
can't.
there's like 2 title fights,
That still happens.
that still
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Or 3
Okay.
title fights, they can be booked as 5 rounders.
Okay. Okay. So it was just tonight. There was just one, or last night, or whenever the fight took place.
Yeah.
It was only one title fight
Yeah.
that night.
Exactly.
So yeah, more about the match. I mean, the fight. I call it a match.
Yeah. So
Still
yeah.
a match.
Yeah, kind of.
A bit of the background here with this was that I think Diaz, a lot in the promo, they were showing how he kind of felt like a similar situation with McGregor, how McGregor was, he's very marketed by the UFC and really pushed to the forefront a lot. I think Diaz felt that way about Pettis in his early days, because Pettis, when he was the 155 champion, he got the cover of the Wheaties box. And you know what I mean? They're always talking about how
Is that a big thing in UFC?
I guess.
well, yeah,
The Wheaties box.
because I don't know
I
who
guess
else
that's
has
a big
really
thing in the States, so I'm not sure.
done it,
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So-
Picture like some, I don't know, Mike Tyson probably. Or
Yeah,
something
you know what I
like
mean?
that.
Something
yeah.
like that back in the day, right? So
Yeah.
it was pretty big when it happened. And Pettis is the one. I don't know if you've ever seen the kick where the guy runs off the side of the cage and he does
Yeah,
like a
I think
flying
you
kick.
showed me that
Yeah.
a while back though.
So he's really known for that, and he's known for his flashy style. He's an exciting fighter, like fun guy to watch.
That's why his nickname is Showtime.
yeah,
It's a pretty cool nickname too. I got to be honest. That's,
yeah,
yeah.
and he. So yeah, I mean, he makes for an exciting fight, and you got Diaz, who Diaz always makes for an exciting fight. He's gonna sell the fight. He's gonna talk.
Well, he's always the fan favorite.
Yeah,
He's always like you always like want to go to his side because he's never was like the guy that they pushed ahead of everybody.
but man,
He's like the underdog basically in a sense.
yeah,
quote unquote.
no, definitely.
Yeah, quote unquote, because everybody that he's fought, especially in the last few years, I feel that everybody doubted that he would win.
I feel like even in this situation, Pettis might have been.
He was
A
the
favorite.
underdog. I believe he was actually Vegas like odds. He was the underdog.
Diaz, right?
Yeah, Diaz.
Yeah, wow.
But it wasn't like a big amount, but again, like still 3 years layoff. Nobody thought like, you know, a lot of shit happens in 3 years, right?
Yeah, but he wasn't.
He didn't skip a beat.
No.
I'll be honest. So like round one, basically, it was back and forth. But I believe Diaz just got a lot more punches in there.
Yeah, I think the first round is the one where you maybe, you could have maybe it could have went either way.
Yeah.
I would
Was
say.
this another stand-up classic kind of casual fan loving fight? Sorry if I'm not talking
No,
a lot
no,
either,
yeah,
guys.
no,
I'm kind of just I'm really soaking in and listening.
Yeah, no. It was for the first 2 rounds, and then in like the third part.
Oh, the third part. Okay, so yeah, like basically, let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
So round 1 and 2 was a lot of stand up, a lot of banging.
Like a phone booth. Imagine 2 guys in a fucking phone booth and just fucking. And that's what Rogan was saying.
That's a
like,
good
Kicks,
description.
everything, right? But third round, as we got to pretty much, now you could say your part there, because third round it got really interesting midway.
Yeah, third round they were starting to take each other down, and they're both like Diaz is a black belt in fucking jiu-jitsu. Pettis has got a strong fucking ground
Gracie,
game.
he's a Gracie black belt.
Yeah,
that's even higher.
That's a huge.
There you go.
nod.
Yeah. Wow.
And Pettis is no slouch. Like he's submitted guys before. He's got a tight ground game. So we were all like curious to see what would happen if these guys go on the ground. I think Pettis kind of hurt his ankle earlier in the fight too.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that had a bit of play in
He
this.
couldn't kick as he normally does.
But these guys got on the ground and the fucking transitions they were doing, man. It was
The
like
reversals, they like Diaz tried a couple times to get the rear naked choke. Anthony slipped out many times. Try to get the arm. Try to get an arm triangle.
Yeah. See, this is the stuff I was talking about before, where it's like when they're on the ground doing that kind of shit, there's a lot more than people
Technicality.
understand is going on there.
Because
you really
if-
got to know your shit to
Because
to
if you
pick up
fuck
on it
up,
all.
if you fuck up on the ground,
Yeah,
like-
one wrong move and then you're caught. You're
Yeah.
choked out and that's it. Goodbye.
or you're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I know those ones where it's kind of slow on the ground and you see the guys are fighting for it. But this I feel like even a casual would have got into, because it was like a
Gritty.
Benoit Kurt Angle exchange of hold to hold to hold. You know what I mean? Like these guys were just. It was.
Yeah,
it was
some of our
nuts.
listeners will definitely understand that.
Exactly. And it was like a very shoot style of transition of holds. You know what I mean? Both going for the submission, and then nobody got it. But Diaz, I think clearly at this point was like getting the better of Pettis, and the judges gave it to Diaz in 3.
And I wouldn't. I have no disagreement with that.
Yeah, do we think everybody thought that kind of before they really
he-
announced it? In
He
the
was
arena?
dominant. He won that fight. Even though it went to decision, he won it. Yeah. So
Yeah, any other stuff on that? I mean, it sounded great. I watched the post interview, but the only fight that I actually saw the highlights of the actual fight was the main event, which we'll get to. But
Yeah. The only other takeaway from the Diaz fight I could say is that if they're going to set up this fight with him and Masvidal, who I've talked about before on the podcast from a previous UFC,
yeah.
he's the one with the quickest knockout in UFC history now with that flying knee.
What?
Yeah, with that flying knee to Ben Askren. How you doing?
yeah,
Him and Diaz, man, that's like a fucking a dream match.
and is that they teased it in the post interview there? Do you think that's something that we're gonna get? You're gonna get?
I said to him last night, I think they're going to book that for Madison Square Garden in November, because that November.
That's pretty soon, no?
Yeah, but they always like to have that card as the most stacked up card.
They'll
of the
load
year.
it. Like that card, they always just load it.
What
top
is
to
like?
bottom.
Okay, this is a question before
Yeah,
we
yeah.
get to the main event. What is like minimal time required for a UFC fight?
Oh, as far as like time off?
Well, yeah, like how much time is exactly. How much
Okay.
time is needed in between a fight? Like minimal. Like
Uh,
what would they allow?
okay.
And then what do you think should be?
Okay.
Because I remember back in the day, sorry to
Yeah.
keep going and
Yeah.
dragging on with my question, but I remember back in the day, when I say the day, I don't know, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Forrest Griffin era,
Mm-hmm.
it was like 6, 7, maybe 5 to 7 months
Yeah.
was like standard.
Yeah.
There's no way you were having a fight in between that. Whereas now I feel like it's become 3 months, 4 months, even sooner if they can
2
make it
weeks.
work.
Okay.
So
Dallas
I mean,
Cerrone.
I'll step back now and maybe you guys can.
Well, basically, from what I know, it's the breakdown of it. I could make it in short form. It's all up to medical. Like, if you pass your medicals, get all your CT scans, all your scans, and you get cleared by the doctor, that's when they will issue you like but I say the minimal day is usually 21 days most of the times.
Is that by the UFC? Like, is there a standard issued date that the UFC says you cannot compete in another UFC octagon fight within this amount of time?
Depends what
I mean,
happens
if
in
you're
the fight.
I'm talking if you're 100% like.
If you're fine?
If you walk out of that fight with with nothing, like no injuries, not even a fucking sprained
commissions.
finger.
It's the commissions that have to make that decision because
That surprises me.
Here's an example. Michael Bisping lost to George St. Pierre a while back.
Yes.
He got knocked out.
Yeah.
Then he went and fought 21 days later.
Yeah, which
and
is
got knocked
crazy.
out.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he shouldn't
And
have
he
been
was in a
cleared for
complete
that.
different commission, right? So
That was over in the UK?
Yeah.
No, that was in Singapore, I believe.
But see,
Oh.
that's so the system over in Singapore, they'll clear him to fight, whereas in the United States, if that fight was to take place, they probably wouldn't have cleared him.
Yeah, the doctor has to
Which
get it there.
makes perfect sense because of the getting knocked out part. But I got to be honest, in the world we live in today, in 2019, with
Yeah.
safety and everything in Formula One that I watch and how much, I mean, it's totally different comparison. But anyway, how important safety is.
Mhm.
I'm surprised there isn't some sort of, if you compete in a fight that goes 3 rounds or longer at all, like no matter what, you can't have another fight within 30 days, 60 days.
Yeah.
No matter what. Even if the fucking fight is, quick and there's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to have suffered something in there. It's just the standard of not being constantly cage fighting.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not that I think that should happen. It's just I'm surprised that in the world we live in today that isn't something that is in place.
Yeah, I really do feel like it depends on the case. That's kind of how they judge it too, because I think let's go back to when John Jones fought Gustafsson back in December. He had a quick turnaround, and when was the fight when he
I
fought Anthony
believe
Smith?
maybe in February.
Yeah, so that's like
Right.
that's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how quick is it? What is it? February to what?
From December to
December to
February.
Oh shit. Yeah. See,
But-
that's crazy.
He didn't take a lot of damage. Like he submitted Gustafsson in the second round, I want to say, of that fight.
Am I wrong in saying that didn't happen back in what I'm, remembering as my era, the Cain Velasquez, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz?
Oh, like guys having extended time off?
Well, that was how it always was, I feel like.
Oh, I
feel
know-
like
I
none
know
of the guys
exactly.
back then were
Yeah.
ever having fights
I
2
know.
months after having
I
a
know
fight.
exactly what you're talking about because,
They had way longer rest periods.
a while back, like for example, when Brock got in there, he would literally fight once a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Make-
Twice a year, and that's it. That's
It's
your
very
career.
rare that you got a lot of guys that would fight, but some guys want more money. You know what I mean?
I guess
And
that's true.
they want to fight.
Also, back then though, the UFC system was very different, and they didn't have as many cards in general too, as well. I feel like that was
There's
another
more
part.
UFC 120 whatever now
Yeah.
or 20 whatever.
Also,
What are they at? What was this weekend?
241, right?
241. But I also want to
241.
add, back then they had what they call the supplements. There was a lot of supplements.
There was a little less tracking of what was being taken back
Yeah.
then.
So
Hmm.
yeah, basically you basically heal up
Well,
a lot.
that's crazy
quicker.
because you'd think now that would be more because these guys are fighting so much quicker
Mhm.
that maybe that would be the case now, but I don't know. If you guys want to get to the main event, we totally can. I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's the more info you know, the better, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So
So in our main event, it was for the heavyweight championship, and we had Daniel Cormier defending the title against Stipe Miocic.
And we all know the winner if we've listened to the whole episode of the Roundtable.
This is true. Stipe with the big win, getting the belt back, which, wow, what a fucking fight, man.
yes, I would have to say, like for heavyweights, this is definitely.
new.
I think Jack's still bitter because he kind of was rooting for DC.
Okay, I'll
So
be.
was I, but I just
I'll
had
be
to do that.
honest. I've been a DC fan. I'm happy with DC, even though he lost. But Stipe, he's knocked out every single person. Well, not knocked out, but he's beaten every single
He's beating everybody.
heavyweights that I like.
He
you
needed
know?
that redemption, though.
Yeah.
He did need that redemption.
No, he needed to go back and fight Fires. That's what he needed to go do.
Am I
Not fight Daniel Cormier.
Am I the only one that, and I probably am, but am I the only one that was looking at DC and I was picturing him in a tux doing commentary while I watched him in the ring? in the octagon? Because that was the first thing that came to my mind when I seen him square up and walk towards him. I'm like, I think I've seen this guy do commentary more times than I've actually seen him fight.
Yeah.
But that's just me being a casual fan. Not even casual fan, you know what I mean? Occasional fan.
You know, I've definitely gotten more used to him in the commentary role now too. I was like, fuck, I haven't seen DC fight in a while. I was thinking that too. Like, it did cross my mind.
It's like, oh yeah, he is still the champion in fights. It's crazy.
The only one thing that's
he held his own. Sorry to cut you off, Jag, but he fucking
No.
held his own last night. As much as, or whenever the fight was, as far as
He's
when
a
you're
tough son
listening
of
to
a
this
bitch.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, he held his own, and both of them, Stipe, Stipiopic.
Joey Diaz, where we got in the building here.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but dude, like I don't think I was saying to Jag as well. Like I don't think that like DC would have anything to be ashamed of. Like he still goes down as a legend, win, lose or draw of this fight. Like and especially the performance he had in this fight too. Like it wasn't like a quick KO.
At
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man.
This
That
is true.
is very true. Very true. Yeah, like in my opinion, like DC, he's amazing on the mic when he does commentary.
Oh yeah.
He's amazing, but I'll give you a little breakdown. He has only lost in light heavyweight technically once, right?
Yep.
Technically once, right? And
To
John Jones.
Johnny Jones.
Yeah.
Donnie's boy.
Yes.
Right. So, but this is also this fight, the outcome of it. He lost, obviously. His first heavyweight loss.
His first heavyweight loss too, because DC was a heavyweight. Like before he went and fought John Jones in the light heavyweight division, he was a heavyweight, man, and he was undefeated. Like he beat everybody at heavyweight.
And he's, for his height and everything, I gotta say, he would pick up a lot bigger guys, toss them.
Oh yeah.
He would go toe to toe with them, and it was actually, he just made them look like they were shit.
Yeah, which is crazy because DC's like 5'10".
Yeah, when I seen him in there, he epitomizes the dad bod.
Yeah.
This guy is dad bod.
But he gives
101
hope. He
in
gives
the,
hope. Gives hope to all of us
Fuck
guys
yeah,
with guts.
he's
you know?
the modern day Stone Cold of the UFC in a way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think anyone who's been watching UFC for a while, I'm sure was a little, maybe not sad, but they felt it a little bit. You know, they understood the passing maybe back of the torch. I don't know. You know, did he beat him for that title in the first place?
Yep.
So it's kind of, you know what I mean? DC, you had your time, and now it's time to put the title back on Hogan and you know, and move forward with. No, I don't know. Maybe that's a horrible reference.
That's a pretty good one.
But like,
he went up against a very good fighter. Like, even though I don't like Stipe as much, I do have to give him credit. He is the most dominant heavyweight there's ever been.
Yeah.
He has the most most title defenses in that division, and it's actually a small number.
I am the game.
that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
The crazy thing about this fight is that Stipe wasn't like he definitely wasn't winning. He lost the first round for sure. You know what I mean? The second round, like he was still, like Rogan said, he was still getting beat up. Like,
That's what I thought when I watched like I said, the highlights that I did watch. It was extended. It was extended as much as a 5-minute full highlight video is extended. You know what I mean? They showed, and I kept thinking, I'm like, wow, this guy's got a chin on him because fucking Cormier kept going at him.
He was kept on getting in. Yeah.
Am I wrong in thinking that the stamina is probably a huge factor in what maybe got Cormier, or do you think he just got caught?
it's, you know, I don't want to say it was necessarily the stamina, only because of him with that wrestling background. I feel like he's got excellent stamina.
Well,
No, true, and that's what I mean. I'm not just saying he has bad stamina. I'm just saying,
but throwing
do you
so
think-
much volume.
And do you think Stipe just stepped up and that's what he worked on in the gym, and that's what maybe he was just better at than Cormier this time around at stamina? I'm not to say he has bad stamina. It's just maybe Stipe that was what he was working on the most, and I don't know. I again, I'm watching a highlight video, not the entire fight. So
there's a couple things also too. They said how that, in my opinion, when he fought DC the first time, he had just gone through a war with Francis Ngannou, one guy that is heavy-handed, one-punch knockout power, everything, right? and fought DC 5 months later.
And that goes back to our thing
So,
about the
It's possible.
turnarounds of fights.
Yeah.
Like they were kind of saying maybe
Maybe his chin was a little weakened, and then with this 13-month layoff.
That's how long it's been since DC's been in the ring?
No.
no, Stipe.
Oh, Stipe. Yeah, I guess. Well, since he lost to...
Yeah,
And then DC's fought who since then? He's had one
Derek
fight.
Lewis,
Derek Lewis. Yeah.
Okay.
which is not a real like pushover, but he used his wrestling. And last night he didn't really use much of his wrestling, but when he did,
No, not from what
it
I
was
saw.
amazing.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
even in the post-fight interviews and everything, DC said he wished he used a little more. He disappointed his corner by not using enough wrestling, because wrestling is a big aspect of MMA.
And that might have helped him get past Stipe in this.
you never know.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Anything else from that fight? I mean, you guys obviously can go into it as much more as you want to, but
Well, I guess in the only thing I would like to say maybe is that it was one of them where they were both, like, as you've seen in the highlights, Nick, they were throwing back and forth. And I was saying to Jag throughout it, like, I was so surprised Stipe was just standing there with him so close when he has that reach advantage, has that height
Where he can
advantage.
fight from the outside.
Like, he wasn't really utilizing that as much. He was wanting to stand in there and bang it out with DC too.
I think even his corner bitched about on it.
And then I said to you too, I remember I said, I think in the third round, I'm like, why isn't he hitting the body at all? Like, I was so curious. I'm like, why isn't he? Because
But
DC's got that, not to discredit him, but that area, man, that is weak. Like, that will take some damage.
Well, you got
that,
your kidneys, you
stomach.
got your liver, you got all that stuff too, right? And then that was DC's downfall, is it that he was noticing that Stipe's only punching and left himself open.
So from a technical aspect, Nick, like, I thought it was really smart how Stipe took him out, because in the fourth round here, so he started throwing these left hooks to the body, and he was just he was throwing left hook
And
after
they were
left hook
hard.
to the body.
Those
on
were hard
DC.
friggin' hits to the liver, basically.
So imagine I throw 10 yeah, keep it going. So imagine 10 left hooks, you know what I mean, to the body, and then I mix it up with a right to your fucking head, boom, and that's how it ended. Like, it was a really smart strategy.
yeah, multiple shots to the head, and then there you go. And new
champion.
Redemption.
heavyweight. Yeah, redemption.
Sorry, boys. I had to get that music in there. You guys were describing this fight so well. I was just picturing it in my head. I'm like, we might as well get some audio.
Yeah, no, that's very good. Yeah, no, so the next step for Stipe is going to be very interesting. You know,
Probably the rematch with Francis.
and from what I know, from what I've heard, and what I've heard from multiple interviews and everything, is that Francis, he's a sponge when he goes to the gym. He learns everything.
So you're rooting for Francis.
No, I'm not rooting for Francis. It's just that, my opinion with Francis, yeah, he's still young, and he's well, not young, but he's still has a long way to go. But you never know, right? He's one tough son of a bitch. He knocks out people very easily.
We
And
watched him knock out Kane. That was that one.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say long way to go. You never know.
That piece right there.
Like our pro wrestler, Kane.
No,
No,
not.
Cain Velasquez, the pro
Yes.
wrestler.
Oh yes, that luchador,
Did you check it out?
that gigantic luchador.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's even worth getting into again tonight, but
Triple A,
AAA, yeah. So anything else from the
Triple Mania.
anything else from the UFC from you guys?
To me, I just want to say, I guess the card, it was like lived up past the hype. I was really jacked about these top 3 fights, but it even surpassed that for me. I fucking loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah, overall it was good. And I'm just excited to see. I want to see that fight, Masvidal,
And
the
Diaz.
305 versus the 209.
Mhm.
West Coast versus the East Coast.
Mhm.
That's
Shit.
gonna be an interesting one there.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to drop the area codes on me there. Talking in a second in the 313, but
Yeah.
if that's all, I guess we can have a little bit of. We might as well. It is the round table. Might as well talk a little bit pro wrestling before we get out of here.
A little wrestling talk, yeah.
Wrestling.
I got to.
Yeah.
Jag's here, and I don't know. It's
Boss time!
there's no way that I'm gonna have Jag here, and we're not at least gonna talk about Sasha Banks coming back. And I know, if this is a little redundant because we talked about it last week on the round table, but Jag's not here often
Yeah.
or ever on the round table for that case. I think we've had Al on twice before we've been able to get Jag onto the
that's-
round table.
Like that's basically
So
making me feel like a piece of shit.
shout
right
out to our boy Al,
Yeah.
former round table guest. It's okay. You've been on the LookBack Show, and we are the pro wrestling LookBack.
Yeah.
So that you
Original.
yeah, you were the first episode ever you were on. So that kind of no offense to our boy Al out there, but that trumps Al in a little bit. So maybe you guys you're rivaling each other. We can start a little feud. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just
That
gonna
could be
kick
the
him
pro
in
wrestling
nuts.
LookBack coming soon.
I'm just gonna kick him in the nuts.
Jack's
Yeah.
going for that Seth Rollins.
You guys gonna go for the POH title?
Oh my god.
I don't know. But yeah, so Sasha Banks, man, what was your thoughts? I know you're not a huge Becky Lynch. You're not on the man bandwagon. So
Damn straight.
And why not, Jag?
yeah, because you're not gonna come on this show
Yeah, we want to know.
and sit here and tell me that you don't like Becky Lynch and you don't like the man storyline.
I don't like the storyline.
You got to
I
give me
don't-
some reasons.
I don't like it at all. You know, bottom line with that storyline, it had its run. You're just stuffing it down my throat. It's basically like Roman Reigns all over again, but in the women's division.
No, because she actually cuts promos. First of all, that's not something that Roman was doing on a regular basis. Roman had 2 main events at WrestleMania without go home promos on the
Okay, all right,
on
fair,
Raw.
fair enough.
Going
You got your point there, but I'm tired.
It seems authentic to me now. Although Sami Zayn was stating that it's very manufactured now backstage when he said, I couldn't believe he said that on Raw. But I don't know, man. I gotta confront you about this. It's my girl Becky, and I gotta support. And I was in the crowd chirping Sasha. So
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy. Finally, like someone could actually, like, have a good match with her because they've been feeding her.
who's that? Becky?
Becky and Sasha? That'll be an excellent match.
Oh, the feud's
That's
and
going to be an excellent feud coming up. And
I think the stuff that Becky has done has been pretty good. You're right. It's not like they've sent her, and like Donovan talked about on last week's roundtable, the Charlotte stuff got a little overplayed.
well, you don't want that. You don't want to overplay it because what happens is, well, like how many times am I going to watch the same people go at it all the time? Like a feud is supposed to run to a certain time, then stop completely, and then maybe a future feud comes up.
build it back up again at some point.
Yeah, but not like every 2 months. Oh, we'll just do it again.
Yeah,
right?
and I know you've been out of the product maybe more than
This year, yeah.
and
I'd
more
say-
almost than you ever have been in your life, like watching the least amount of it. So
I'd
it's
say a long time, but now let me see. Maybe this is the longest stretch.
it's not something that's going to be pulling you back in either.
It's possible. It's possible because you know what? Like the product is slowly getting better.
They have a lot of really good talent signed right now, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, but the other thing too is how they underutilize quite a few people. You know.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, like I didn't like the Lacey Evans and what's his name there?
Baron Corbin.
The waiter boy. Yes.
Yes.
The waiter.
Hey, careful before you speak too soon. He might come back as the king soon.
Oh.
So
King Corbin.
King
no,
Corbin.
No, I'm going with King Drew.
Drew McIntyre.
Yes,
Should
that
we-
suits him better.
Should we transition to that? Do you want to get some thoughts from you from the King of the Ring and maybe some potential what you think could go down there?
Yeah, you know what? But like, before we go over there, yeah, that feud that basically with Becky Lynch and
Sasha.
With Lacey.
Oh, Lacey. Yes, the tag team match at Extreme Rules with
Yeah, like it's just
Corbin.
again, it was just one of those stupid matches that obviously they're not gonna push someone that quick, and I don't think it's like you could basically, if you're a casual fan or if you're one of us, like one of the guys that know exactly what we're talking about,
Yeah.
basically right away, Baron Corbin's not getting that
Heavyweight championship.
that heavyweight championship,
Yeah,
And-
it was a little, I don't know what the deal with them and pushing Baron Corbin for so long was. I'm not saying he shouldn't ever have had any kind of main event push, but it was just the longevity of like continually putting him at the top of the card that I didn't really understand. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with him going forward as far as maybe being King of the Ring, or if not, I don't know.
Yeah, so basically like I can't wait till Ronda comes back. That's what I'm.
That's what you're looking. So the UFC is still strong.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ronda, but yeah, as you wanted to get to, you want to ask about King of the Ring.
Yeah, just maybe some of your favorite moments. I know you've been watching wrestling for a long, long time, and like I said, you don't come on the roundtable as often as maybe we'd like or you're able to. So it's maybe get some thoughts for the King of the Ring, since I know we'll be talking about King of the Ring in the coming weeks.
Well, first of all, the one thing I want to say is basically, hopefully it means something, you know? Hopefully it's just not just a title, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're the King of the Ring, that's it. Hopefully it actually means something. Hopefully there's an actual push. It's just not, here's your little brand right here, your king,
Yeah.
and that's it. Oh, that's now going to be your character. Oh, King, like for example, King Sheamus, for King Booker, King so-and-so. But when you go back to the history of it, it actually means a lot more, because back in the day, when you were King of the Ring, you went through that gauntlet of people to get to where you are. And there's been a lot of King of the Rings that I've seen, and some of them are pretty good.
Yeah, like the King of the Ring, I feel like it used to. I know what you mean. It used to kind of launch guys into that main picture.
Yeah, you're going up next for the title.
Yeah,
it's not just like, oh, here you are. Okay, all right, we'll see you later.
Which I think that would be kind of cool. Like I remember they did it when Brock Lesnar was in the King of the Ring that year. They did like the number one, the winner was going to SummerSlam to fight for the title, and that ended up being Brock. I would kind of like something like that to maybe come in, especially for a guy like Drew. I think he's the perfect candidate to win this thing, honestly.
Yeah, I think he might be the one who, we talked about it last week on the roundtable too, but I think he might be the one that's walking away with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you never know. Remember, it could be completely 360.
Chad Gable.
What is it? Cedric Alexander?
Oh, yeah?
You never know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I know Kevin Owens. I talked about it with Shane, who was on the roundtable last 2 weeks. Big, obviously, thanks again for Shane for coming on the show the last 2 weeks. But I talked about it with him as far as Kevin Owens. I think he's done first round because he's facing Elias. So I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that means Kevin Owens is not even making it past round one.
Yeah, that's the breakdown of matches there. Like, it's interesting, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. You never know. You could get anybody, but I would want to put my money on definitely Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. No, either way, I think that's pretty good for what we've had here. It's fun having you on the show, man.
Thank you.
I want to, unless there was anything else you guys wanted to get to, I figured we were.
No, not really. No, I think we covered a lot today.
It's good to have Jag on. The roundtable, UFC roundtable. It's good to do these little interviews for episode 52 and try and change it up. And I don't know, there was one other thing I just wanted to let everybody know for as far as YouTube go, because those 2 videos I told you guys about. Go check out the Stone Cold Hot Ones interview where he eats the chicken wings and talks about his career. Some wicked stories. Shout out to my buddy Phil for telling me about that one at work. And to go check that out because it's well worth the watch. And go look at the Raw reunion behind the scenes video. That video turned out pretty good as well. And
that was a really good video.
Yeah, we watched that before we hit record tonight or today or this morning or wherever you're listening to this. But yeah, it's been pretty good. This for this section of the roundtable, I'm Nick.
The Jagster.
And it's me, JustDon, telling you to stay classy.
And now you can listen to some JustDon. I hope you enjoyed the beginning, and here's a little bit more. We're going to be trickling this out on the roundtable as it goes forward.
I never been the type to let out my emotions, but when you left, goddamn, I was open. Days passed and months, I was open. Me and you could make amends, we started fucking again. Now you say I'm just a friend, and me and you ain't got nothing. Until you call me up again. What's up? Not much and such. Small talk. We link. We fight. We fuck all night. Wake up. Do it again in the morning. I love to hit it in the morning. Your new nigga, he ain't got nothing on me. Your new nigga, he ain't got nothing on me. Damn, I thought you was my everything. Broke up, then I moved on to better things. Notorious, I'ma do it big. Maybe me and you, girl, was just a fling. Damn, I thought you was my everything. Broke up, then I moved on to better things. Notorious, I'ma do it big. Maybe me and you, girl, was just a fling. Girl, I know it's been a minute. On some LMA-ish, you got me tripping on you. Maybe I was acting a fool. Now I'm riding in the coupe and just thinking of you. Remember Valentine's Day, I ain't show up for you. Probably had you thinking that you was a fool. See, when you came in my life, I wasn't looking for you, and you was looking for love, something I ain't know much. But I can't live with regret, so I write about it. But I can't front, I still want you from the back though. She love to thug at me, her friends think I'm an asshole. And truth be told you, man, ain't killing it like that now. Said truth be told you, new nigga, he looking whack now. No, this ain't hating, girl, I only spit the facts out. Poetic justice, no, this ain't hating, girl, I only spit the facts out. You new nigga, he ain't got nothing on me. You new nigga, he ain't got nothing on me. Damn, I thought you was my everything. Broke up, then I moved on to better things. Notorious, I'ma do it big. Maybe me and you, girl, was just a fling. Damn, I thought you was my everything. Broke up, then I moved on to better things. Notorious, I'ma do it big. Maybe me and you, girl, was just a fling.
All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the interview there. That was a lot of fun to record. Big thanks to Jag for coming on the show again. We always appreciate anytime he can make a trip down and record something with us. Hopefully more Dawn Hour segments coming in the future, possibly with Jag, possibly with other guests as well. But obviously, big thanks to Jag for coming on the show and doing the interview. Like I said, I'm just going to get to a little bit of this. And like I said at the beginning of the show, guys, it'll be a short one this week. I know this is not a Formula One podcast. I just enjoy doing the F1 update for any of you listeners that enjoy it as well. And it's an off week. They're on the summer break right now, 3 weeks off, like I talked about last week. I just figured I'd give kind of my halfway point teams and drivers of the year so far. So obviously I do this every week. I'm going to do it again and keep doing it even though the points haven't changed. 250 points for Hamilton, 188 points for Bottas, and 181 points for Verstappen. I'm not going to do the top 10 again like I did last week, but I figured the top 3. Obviously, you can look it up if you need to, but just if you only follow Formula One through our update, then there you go. I'll give you the top 3. But all that being said, I'm going to have to go, we got to go team of the year, driver of the year, worst team of the year, and then worst driver of the year. And this is all opinion-based. This is my opinion as a Formula One fan and somebody who gets up in the middle of the night and watches racing and really loves this shit. So, again, just opinion-based all the way here. But team, I'm going to give you a kind of 1 or 2 for each of the topics because it was just too hard to pick one. And it's only the halfway point, so it's not that definitive anyway. Team of the season so far, halfway through the season, it's got to be Mercedes because the dominance that they had not only to start the season with, 5 1-2s in a row before they got to Monaco or after Monaco. No, before they got to Monaco. And then just the dominance based on, both drivers doing a really good job. That's pretty much it. The crazy part is that Mercedes hasn't been as good as maybe they have been in previous years. They were in the sense that, they 1-2'd all those races, but I don't really think they've had the competition this season as well, maybe from Red Bull a little bit and Honda, but, definitely not from Ferrari this season that they've had in previous years. So they haven't had that pressure to do as well. They just have been doing as well. So it kind of pads the record, I guess you could say. It makes them look a little bit better this season than they actually are because of, some of the other teams shooting themselves in the foot. But the other one has got to be McLaren. If it isn't Honda and Red Bull and the combination that they're doing and the podiums and stuff, it's amazing. Obviously, I work for Honda. It's awesome. But McLaren and the turnaround that they've had since leaving Honda 2 seasons ago, joining up with Renault last year, and then consistently finishing in the points and consistently qualifying in Q3. This season has been incredible. So big shout out to McLaren. Big, I'll give them here. Big round of applause to both of the top teams. But, I mean, as much as Mercedes deserves it, McLaren, good on you. As far as driver of the year so far, I got a couple. I mean, you got to go with Lewis just because of the amount of wins that he has this season. But again, I feel like some of that is a little bit padded because of the fact that some of the other teams haven't been doing as well. And that's not his fault. That's not Mercedes' fault. That's just some of the other strategists and team strategies that they've chose haven't worked out in their favor, and it's benefited Mercedes. So, in my opinion, he's still the best guy. He's the best driver on the grid, and he probably has been driving the best on the grid, but maybe not as good as in previous seasons. It's hard to say. But the other ones, obviously, Max Verstappen, 2 wins this season. Who would have expected that Max would have 2 wins before Ferrari, the team, has any wins? So my own clap on that one to Max. And honestly, I've never really been a huge Max Verstappen fan, but him this season, again, I mean, I'm not like I'm some old man telling you who's mature and who's not, but I've really noticed the maturity in this guy and his attitude and just being more focused on winning and understanding the procedures and everything that goes into being a Formula One driver. I think Max, it took him 3 or 4 years to kind of get to that point. The skill was always there. That's not what I mean in the sense 3-4 years. The skill was always there. It's just he had that attitude and the outbursts and the lashing out and things that he was doing in previous seasons that he's not doing this season, nor is he making a lot of mistakes on track. Obviously, I mean, with the whole switch of the teammate and everything, last week we talked about Gasly going to Toro Rosso and Albon coming up. It's going to be cool to see Albon and Max. I'll be talking about it, obviously, going forward on the roundtable, but it's going to be cool to see the two of them being so young up at such a big team like Red Bull. And the third one, I got to mix him in. I got to find a way. I watched, honestly, he's had an amazing year, and he's, 6th in the points. This is Carlos Sainz. I should have said his name. Carlos Sainz for McLaren. 6th in the points right now, I believe, which is ahead of maybe one of the Red Bulls. I'm not 100% sure. Or if he isn't, he's on the verge, and he probably will be by the end of the season after the driver switch. But if nothing else, go on Instagram, go to the Formula One page, and it's either Instagram or YouTube, or both probably. I think it's Instagram. And check out the best overtakes of the season so far, and go watch, I think it was Instagram because they did A, B, C, or D, and they kind of told you to swipe and pick what you thought was best. Go check out the overtake that he does at Monaco on lap 1 and tell me that this guy hasn't been one of the best drivers of the season so far, because don't get me wrong, I know everybody can race at Monaco, but holy shit, that overtake was incredible. Well worth a watch. So go check it out if you haven't seen it. Moving on, I'd say the worst teams, I got a couple here. One is kind of a given. I'm sorry. I got to say them. Williams, they just haven't had a good year. The car has been nowhere where they ever projected it to be this season, and then they've been behind the 8 ball from the get-go, so every step that they make forward, the other teams are also making a step or 2 forward. So they're kind of just stuck in limbo, and they've got to just go out and keep racing each other, I guess, and do as much as they can to learn more about the car, because hopefully that team's not going anywhere and they can move forward into the following season. Renault hasn't been very good either. It's not, maybe not as bad as the next one I'm going to get to, Ferrari, but Renault, I just think it's more the expectations. They were expecting to be doing better. Daniel Ricciardo was moving over to that team, and I think they expected more, maybe some podiums this season, and I know they had a plan, years ago with where they projected they would be at the end of the plan of, podium, competing for points and then podiums and then race wins by, 2021 or whatever it was. They're definitely not on par with the plan that they had set. So they definitely need to figure out what that is and why the engine isn't working with their car the same way that their engine is working with a McLaren, because we got to remember they're providing McLaren an engine, and McLaren has managed to build a better car than a works Renault team. So that alone says something. Not to say that McLaren's a small team and they shouldn't be doing something like that, but I don't know. It's Renault's one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world, and they should definitely be at least competing more than they are at the moment. And then obviously Ferrari, man. I feel like I feel like a Ferrari hater, and I'm really not because I talk about it so much on the roundtable. But just what have they done to say that they aren't one of the worst teams of the season so far? Because I wish I had a co-host with me to talk about this, because there's really nothing, in my opinion, aside from maybe signing Charles Leclerc was a good idea because you knew the future and you got to look forward. And then again, Kimi Räikkönen's having a fucking amazing season down at Alfa Romeo. So who knows? It's a given. Ferrari, with the bad strategy calls throughout the season so far, not being able to decide, oh no, you go forward and you go. Can you move aside for Vettel? No, move aside for Leclerc. Make up your fucking mind. Who's the guy that you're pushing? Getting in the wrestling talk. Who's the guy that you're, going with? Who's the number one driver right now? And then give him that and go forward and then try and win some fucking races. Because, again, I'm no expert, but Ferrari's not doing it the right way, clearly, because it's not working. So, I don't know. Moving forward, worst drivers of the year, I'm sorry, but the number one has to be Pierre Gasly. To be given that Red Bull seat at the beginning of the season and to be expected to, be getting podiums, competing with Max Verstappen, and, doing the same kind of shit that Daniel Ricciardo was doing, frankly, and not being able to do any of that. Not finishing on the podium, not always getting into Q3, definitely not competing with Max Verstappen on track, fucking getting lapped by Max Verstappen. So it's not that I'm a Pierre Gasly hater again. I liked Pierre Gasly in Super Formula when he before he even came to Formula 1 and he joined Toro Rosso. I've been a fan of this guy. So I like him. It's just Formula 1's the real deal, man. If you can't cut it at the top and your teammate's blowing you out of the water the way that he was, one, you're going to get booted, and two, you're going to get Nick's worst driver of the season so far. I'm sorry. But the other ones to mention, I guess, Kubica, just because he's been beaten by his teammates so often. I know he did get, he got a point before George Russell, but that was based off, certain circumstances with what had happened in that race. So, I'm sorry to say it to all my Polish buddies out there, but Kubica's definitely got to be on that list for some of the, drivers that haven't had the best season so far here in 2019. And then the third kind of grouping, I should have put them maybe in the team, but they've persevered, so I didn't want to put the team up there. It's kind of more the drivers that are the issue, and that's Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen. One of them's got to go next year. I don't know who it's going to be, whether it's Roman Grosjean or Kevin Magnussen again. I'm obviously not the one that should be making that decision or even speculating on it, but one of them, I don't think the pairing of them at Haas is something that they should go forward with next season, let alone maybe even the rest of this season. Who knows? But all the woes that they've been dealing with the sponsor, their title sponsor, wanting to pull out, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one here, and let's just hope that they know what they need to do going forward, and that's get a new driver, possibly, or sit these guys down and figure out what the fuck is going on, because they can't keep running into each other. And I know they say, and I believe them, they probably do have a good relationship off track, and that's all fine and dandy, but you need to figure out your relationship on track, because that's what pays your bills, and that's what's keeping you employed. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts from, worst driver, best driver, worst team, best team of the year, and that's, that's pretty much it for the Formula 1 update today. But we'll get to more of it, like I said, next week. I'm going to keep it going, just do these small little segments, and I think next week we can probably do a little bit of a preview for Spa coming up after that. So thanks for listening. And with all that out of the way, guys, that is the roundtable. So I appreciate anybody who's checked out the show from day one to now. We appreciate anybody who's ever listened to any episode. We put a lot of work in, but we do this for fun, and we do it because we love pro wrestling and we love, Formula 1 here at the end of the show, but we just love talking about it, and we want more people to listen and hear and communicate. And like I've always said, and it's in our description from day one, we just want to talk pro wrestling in a positive way and build a community. So check us out on Instagram and Twitter at PWLookback on both of those. ProWrestlingLookback@gmail.com is where you can send us an email. Teespring.com/ProWrestlingLookback is where you can get stickers, t-shirts, all that kind of good stuff. Mugs, more stuff coming. If you want, get at me on Twitter. I'm at Salsa, SCELSA. You can get Don at JustDon44. Head over to iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube. Like I said, if you're already listening to the show, we appreciate it if you are listening on one of those platforms. But hit the 5 stars and leave us a comment. We'd really appreciate it. It helps us get out there to more listeners. More listenership is great, and that just makes the content better too, right? Well, I would hope it makes the content better. But either way, hit the 5 stars and let us know what you think. Send me a DM if you've enjoyed the older lookbacks we've been dropping, because I'm going to try and get all the ones that are on YouTube eventually moved over. So everything we've ever done, aside from those first 18 roundtables, are on iTunes. So with all that out of the way, don't forget to check out our sponsor at Pure Oxide CBD. Amazing stuff. 2005. I can't say that. I had trouble at the beginning of the show. 2,500 milligram bottle. 500 milligram bottle, 300 milligram cream, THC free, no GMOs, pet friendly. The stuff's amazing. Check them out. PureOxide.com is where you can get them at. I'm Nick. This has been the Roundtable. Thank Don and Jag for coming on the show. As per usual, stay classy.